Hey guys, Carlos here with Bear Bull Traders, and here's my recap for today. Here's the gappers list we had this morning actually. So it was not a lot that was great on here, but here's what I want to get to. It is so important to have a community. And when I say that, it doesn't mean it has to be our community. It could be any community, no matter what profession you're in. And Andrew talks about this a lot where, whether you're a doctor, engineer, whatever you are, you need to be surrounded by people that are doing the same thing that you're doing so you can get ideas and network. That's very important. So if you're trading low floats, find a good community that focuses on low floats. If you're trading mid to large flow stocks, that's how we focus on. Whatever it is, whatever style you're looking for or you're interested in doing, make sure you find a community that supports that style. Here's the reason why. So here's our watch list today, right? There's really not a lot going on here. This is frozen to 9:15 a.m. This is trade ideas, right? This one had a huge block trade. This one I'm not sure what happened with this one, but basically out of this watch list, only two were really looking good: Roku and CPRT. And a lot of people had CPRT on their list. I had Roku. The rest of these other stocks, we're finding in our community as we're looking through things, whether we had it from yesterday, continuation play, where there's some news, possible news, earnings, and things like that, we had on Wendy's, on Ford. So actually, all these stocks were we prepared this morning based on some of the people from the chat room in our community throwing that out there, and also Norm. Norm actually created a lot of this today because he had some information on news and things like that could possibly give us a good play, right? So one of my trades on MNNK was actually based on a stock that Norm mentioned. So thank you, Norm, for that. I had a really good trade on that one. That probably would have been a ticker that I hope would have not looked at if Norm or someone in the community had not mentioned it. So just the importance of having a community, guys. Again, I'm not trying to sell our community, but you have to be part of a group of people that are sharing the same interest, no matter what field you're in, whether trading or whatever the career you're in. So let's get to our my trading today. So my first trade was on Wendy's. So on Wendy's, I was looking for a opening range breakdown. I got in a little early. Here's the reason why. Here's the signal that I like on Wendy's. I usually try to wait at least 5 minutes, but I love this pop here when it had a huge rejection heading back down below the VWAP on this candle. So I was looking for a 2-minute range opening range breakup on the 2-minute to head down to at least to this level and hopefully this 1971. So I got in short here. My stop loss at VWAP. Once it gets to VWAP, I'm all out. I can see that it rejects VWAP or slightly above it. It looks like it wants to head back down. I jump back in. It does sell down here. I take some off here because this time, this 2014 level we had just seemed to be holding quite a bit, even on the pre-market. So I was concerned that if we didn't break through it right away, I was going to get a bounce back to my break-even point. So I took a partial off there. Tested VWAP one more time. Does break down below this level that was the low of the day at that time. Does break down there. I take a bit off here again, and then from here it just hesitates and comes right back up. So was pretty much break even on this trade. Again, took a loss here, a full loss here, and then was able to recoup some of the losses on this trade. Eventually, this sell off really nice, but not before again squeezing back up above VWAP. Doing a false VWAP breakout here, cannot establish a trend above the VWAP, sells back down. A good entry would have been here on the retest, right? You don't want to get in on the breakthrough candle because you can get stopped out if it's a fake out towards the bottom. But on the retest, it's always a good risk to reward and a better chance of success of probabilities if you wait for the retest of that level, moving average, support resistance that you just broke. You can see here how this comes right back down to the previous area of support, and then even lower, hitting this 1971. So this traded very well after it settled down. So that was my first trade on Wendy's. Then I went over to Ford. And Ford, this was probably was not the best trade. But what I did like on the 5-minute is that it had this huge rejection here, heading right back down. So I looked closely into the 1-minute. In the 1-minute, it looks like it had lost 910. It looks like it retested it at least twice. So I was expecting for this to even head lower and probably test some of the levels we had towards the bottom. But it didn't. It actually just kind of squeezed up here. Couldn't break this level here, which was kind of area of the pre-market. We had some support. Couldn't break down the way back up. It just got completely out. And I'm glad I did because look at this squeeze. It's VWAP reversal right to VWAP. And you can see it breaks out. And again, here's what I'm talking about as well, just to go back to my other point. Once you break out of this VWAP, you usually get this retest again, and then it goes over towards the direction it was going if it's not going to be a fake out. So usually wait for that retest, guys. Don't chase it here or up here, because if you do, you're going to be stopped out. This retest happens quite often. We talk about this in class 4. So make sure you check that out when we talk about our strategies. So that was Ford. I got out almost for a small loss, break even. And then my last trade was on MNNK. So this one here, this was a beautiful trade. Two strategies you had on here. You had the opening range breakup. This is a beautiful range right here on the 5 minute. You don't get a pullback, but you can see how clean this is on the 5. How beautiful that is. Here's the 246 level we have. Heads back up, nice pullback, and then heads higher. The way I traded is I missed this opening range breakup on the 5, but if we look at the 1 minute, you have a beautiful A, B, and C D pattern right on here. I mean, this is just perfect, and so clean, right? You got your A point here's at the top. Here's the support you're looking for right on this moving average. I get in on the way up. It does head higher, but then it comes back and tests my entry. If this moving average was not here, I probably would have got out of this trade because I'm looking for this move to happen right away. Heads up to 272. I take some out because we do have a level here in this area. As it breaks higher, I'm taking partials on the way up. 290 seemed to be very heavy at this point, so I knew there was, not new, but it felt like because you never know what's going to happen, right? But it felt like a pullback was coming, and I just took everything out. And unfortunately, if we look on the 5, look at the 5 minute, this thing just kept going after this pullback, just testing some of these levels, retesting them, and then picking up some more buyers and just heading higher here. So it turned out to be a really nice trade. Thank you, Norm, for that. Yeah, absolutely. And you can see how beautiful this was. Now, one of the things you have to realize, guys, you have to pick your poison per se. So for example, a lot of people are going to say, well, Carlos, why didn't you hold and wait for this entire move? For me personally, I have a bigger problem having some profits in hand already and giving them back. So let's say this pullback would have came back all the way to my break even or even to VWAP or this levels. I would have lost on this profit that was already in my pocket. So some people are okay with that. Others are not okay with watching their stock run and go higher, so they will hold and actually be okay with this loss and not be okay with missing the move. So you got to pick which one you're okay with. Day trading is very strong on psychology, so you got to figure out what works for you best and what you're comfortable with. So I am more comfortable with taking everything out here. This thing can go up to $15. I could care less. I am more comfortable with that than actually letting something that I already have come back to my break-even point and give it back to the market. So that's my recap, guys. Hope you guys had a great day. Tune in tomorrow 8:30 Eastern time for the pre-market show as we prepare for our watch list and go over these stocks that we traded today. Take care, guys.